All
All
right.
right, cool.
Welcome to the stream.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Do you prefer to go by JackFly?
JackFly or Jack is fine.
Okay, no problem. Well, I was just reading through the game page here. So controls with WASD, R to restart, escape to menu. Seems pretty simple. Is there anything else I should know about the game before I get started?
Well, I mean, I hope you're not colorblind because we don't have much good support for that yet, but
No, I'm very lucky
it
that...
is fairly,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it is fairly simple. Sorry, something cut out. It is fairly simple to control, so you should get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Sounds good. All right. Well, it looks like a Godot game, so we'll trust that I don't have to worry. Make sure the stream background music
Yeah,
is paused.
promise it's not a virus.
Don't worry. I think my game also gets the exact same problem because made in Game Maker Studio version 1.4, it's very old and Windows will complain, but not complain so badly. Apparently there are two export options in Game Maker, one of which is a nice little exe that like unpacks itself when it runs, and that makes it look like a virus to Windows. So I have to go with a zipped executable that has like a bunch of files. It's a little more messy, but what can you do?
Yeah, Godot does something similar. I think it has like a PCK file or something that it
Mhm.
packages in with the exe.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go ahead and get started with the game here. And oh yeah, Witty Adrian, that's why, yeah, I do the same. I mean, I didn't just offer an exe by itself, I offered the HTML5 build because that's at least something that I can do with GameMaker. So I'll go ahead and get started here, and don't forget, if you want to ask a question in chat, then feel free to post, and I will pass it on to the host. I'm the host, I'll pass it on to the guest is what I meant to say. But yeah, so other than that, I will start in with our first question here, which is, how did you decide on what we're going to make for the jam?
Okay, so I tuned in for the theme
Mhm.
live, and then I discussed with the team, and we start bouncing ideas. I think our first idea was like a kind of like fighting game where you're chained to your opponent, so you can't like run away.
Mhm.
And we obviously didn't go with that. And then there were some other suggestions I don't remember. And then I was like, hey, how about we do something about mixing colors? The colors join together. And I think we all really liked that idea, and we sketched up a couple of prototype levels and thought there was enough here to be fleshed out and started working.
Nice. Yeah, I think that we've seen a surprising number of games about mixing colors and slimes in this jam. Um,
Yeah, there
yeah.
were a lot of slime games. It's kind of funny.
Oh, don't worry. I end up getting the exact same saying like slime James and James Gams. I think I say that quite
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. All right, you are the second streamer not to fall for getting the red at the start, by the way.
Ooh. uh, I'm admittedly trying to, I say this all the time, but I'm splitting my focus three ways between chat, between the
Yeah.
guest, and between the game itself. But thankfully, the color intuition is reasonably easy, and don't worry, I will start screwing stuff up real soon.
Yeah. Also, don't worry, the colors get a lot harder to tell apart later. We're planning on working on some easier way to tell colors apart later.
Yeah, absolutely.
I cannot talk today.
Don't worry, we all have those days. So I love the like really bouncy like squashing and stretching on the character. Who was it that did the artwork?
So that would be, I think in Discord their name is Hex, but they
Mhm.
have like their name is like a monkey or something on
Yeah.
itch.io, and they were actually found through the team finder. I had worked with the other coder 11 on last year's jam,
Hmm.
but the other two people we found through the team finder, and I'm happy with both of them. Our composer did really well. I really like the bossa nova, and our art was also really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as I said, the bonus points always goes to people who use squash and stretch. It is one of my favorite animation principles. So we've got a couple people in the chat discussing the color changing thing is really cool. Oh yeah, and Game Maker Studio 2 doesn't have the option of a single executable anymore, only the installer and the zip. Yeah, because that makes sense, Burkhart. So let's see. Someone's saying that there's a balance between boring the player and putting them in challenging situations too quickly. One option might be to use numbers if each color was numbered. Oh yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways to solve the colorblind problem.
Yeah.
A number overlay, I usually say, is like kind of the laziest way to do it. Towards the end of yesterday's stream... Sorry, go ahead.
I've been thinking of some ideas to fix that, and one I've really liked is if you can hover your mouse over something with a color, and it'll say the amount of each primary color that composes it. So that way it isn't like you don't have to have any programming experience to know like hex codes or anything. You just have to have like a basic kindergarten knowledge of mixing primary colors.
Yeah, I guess the other thing that I saw that was very effective yesterday is that each of the primary colors was given a symbol, and the player character kind of merged between, like, I think there was a circle for yellow and a square for blue, and when you combine those into green, it made like an octagon, so it was kind of like a squared off circle. And then red was pointy, so then like red and blue made purple. It was like a sort of asterisk shape where it was like it still looked pointy, but the tips were cut off, and that way.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of that kind of reminds me of this one, I think, PlayStation 1 game called Vib Ribbon, where like you're walking along the line and then there are different shapes along and you have to press different buttons. And later on you get to like combination shapes. So like if you have a hole in a loop, it's like a loop with spikes on it, so that it's like it has holes over it.
Yeah,
which I thought was a really neat solution.
Anything that you can do in terms of making your shapes seem a little like matching colors with shapes or symbols to, like, if you can do it in a way that's intuitive, yeah, it's really neat. So okay, I think I've kind of stumbled my way through the solution here. The reason that I was getting mixed up here is because when I stepped on a button, I didn't immediately see what it was changing, what it was influencing.
Yeah, we've had feedback about that before. We were thinking about either putting like a symbol on the button and what it controls, or wires.
Oh my goodness, you are... Oh no. You gotta... Okay, let's see. Can I collect enough red to fool this gate? Yes, it seems like I can. Okay.
That's actually the unintended solution that we found like 2 minutes before submission. And it's actually like what everyone else found. The other solution, it's probably because we should have had a level before introducing a certain mechanic, which is that complementary colors combined to white. So you find pairs of complementary colors until you get to the end, because the last blob is a red one.
I see.
Yeah, I actually, the level you're on, I don't like a certain aspect of the design, because you can mix about like so many combinations of these 4 colors and they all look like the gate would let you through, but only one actually does. Yeah. Which again, a mode to show exactly what color, like the components of primary colors, would definitely help. But also just picking better colors in the first place would also have helped.
Yeah, I guess when you really start leaning hard on color theory, it gets to be pretty tricky, especially because like
actually, you go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, you're kind of switching back and forth between additive and subtractive color theory, because like the complementary colors should add together to be brown, not just cancel back to white. That's subtractive, I believe. I get the two mixed up.
You are right. This is actually all additive, but we've
Mhm.
done some interesting stuff. Like we've clamped everything to make sure it stays within the bounds of 0 to 1 or whatever.
Right.
So it acts kind of like subtractive, but it is really additive at the core. We tried a couple different color systems, and this is the one that felt the most intuitive and also was easiest to code.
Hmm.
But there are really issues with all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, because for anyone who,
Subtractive colors started getting muddy.
yeah, yeah, just so and I think like most people have experienced like mixing colors of paint, and that's what they think of more. Like you, how often do you have experience shining light beams together to produce colors? Like that's, shall we say, a little less common?
Yeah, exactly. I was definitely trying to mimic paint colors here.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Okay, so I've got that figured out. Um, So, let's see. We don't have any other questions coming in from the chat, but I'll go ahead and ask the next question here, which is, so you're one of the 2 developers on the game. What systems did you end up working on?
The systems, let's see. I implemented basic movement, but the other programmer wound up redoing that once we decided to switch to a tile-based version. I implemented just the normal blobs you collect. I implemented the what was it? The little portal thing that was on one of the levels that is like a permanent paint blob that doesn't disappear once you collect it. I implemented the color mixing. And then I did a couple levels.
Okay, nice.
And also I added in the art, some of it. And I switched everything to be more friendly for pixel art, like an hour before the end time, so I had to redo some of the UI.
Yeah, I just ended up getting stumped on this level at the very end of it, but I'll do my best to get through it again. Anyway, I will remind everyone in chat to please feel free to go ahead and submit your questions here. But in the meantime, can you recommend a useful shortcut or a clever hack in the Unity... Sorry, no, wait, this is Godot, right?
Yes, this is Godot.
Yes. So a useful shortcut in the Godot engine that you know that you would like others to know about.
That might be tough. Definitely leverage the tile set editor. It's been super useful. You can configure it so you can just paint and it'll auto tile, or you can pick everything individually, and you can set it up so that it works with the grid snap, so it can place all the objects correctly too. And that's been really nice. An upcoming feature is that you can actually just put like any objects, like they'd be prefabs in Unity Talk, inside of the tile map too, so you can just select them without having to exit the tile map editor, and that will be really nice once they add it.
Nice, yeah, absolutely. Okay, I got to the same part last time, and I still don't understand if I'm doing something wrong.
You have everything right so far. Do you want a hint of some sort?
I guess I'm supposed to collide with one of these colors to get rid of what I have. Maybe?
Not really. Remember that buttons are toggles?
Oh, okay, I did not remember that.
Yeah, it's not used much past like the 2nd or 3rd level. That's, again, we should have lengthened our tutorial a little, probably.
It's not even a question of lengthening oh, that was actually the last level. Okay. I actually feel pretty good about being able to clear the... anytime I can actually complete a game on stream, especially a puzzle one, it's like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, this one was... we got, I think, 7 levels in total, and most of them were tutorial, so...
Nice. You don't have to necessarily think about your extending your tutorials, because what I find is that even if you just tell people a lot about a mechanic early on, they aren't going to remember how it works down the line if you have a really, really long gap in between when they've encountered it before. So
Yeah, that's definitely true.
yeah, so it's more of a question of
maybe just
intersplicing levels.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just kind of agreeing, but
same idea. Yeah.
with what you were saying. Yeah.
Just any time that you have a mechanic that you want people to remember what they're doing, having it occur, like you can have small breaks, but then just have some small aspect, even if it means taking a concept in a level and like adding a little bit more to it than it would have otherwise had, just to keep that idea fresh in people's minds. So Witty Adrian is commenting, it's a great example of how hard it is to get players used to the mechanics of your game. Yeah, completely. As the developer, you know all the mechanics, but to transfer that knowledge to the players sufficiently can be so difficult. Yeah. So tutorial design is a real make or break for games in general. Like, think about the fact that how many games are there? How many games exist out there that actually teach you how to hold a controller properly? Like, that is not actually something you can take for granted. Extra Credits did a great video about that. Just talking about how, you know, we have these, we have game literacy. Like, that exists as a real thing. Like, you know how to use a keyboard, use a mouse, use a controller. Like, very few games are actually so friendly that just absolutely anyone can pick them up and know how to use them. I think it's a significant part of what makes mobile gaming so popular is you already know how to use your phone. You already know how to tap and swipe and click and drag things just from the actual phone's UI. So anytime a game has the exact same control scheme as, well, the device you're already using to play it on, you know, there you go. That's a huge opportunity to get people into your game easily.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Actually, I had my parents' playtest, and Mom, it said use WASD to move, and she didn't know what that meant, so I had to explain it, which is definitely a great example of what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. This is actually the first puzzle game I think I've made, so I'm actually pretty proud of it. But
I think that
there are definitely some things I can think about improving.
Absolutely. I think there's plenty that you can do, like, before you even start getting too far into the advanced color theory stuff. I think there's a lot that you can still do with some of the more simple mechanics.
Yeah, definitely. I think actually the big room with all the different dyes is a bit of an outlier in terms of level design here.
Yeah.
So we might have it like, maybe like if we do an actual level system, put it as like a bonus level or something, but not part of the main campaign necessarily.
Yeah, I think that.
But
like,
yeah,
I guess it just
maybe
really,
something like, or maybe just put it later. I don't.
It depends. I think if you have a different way of creating a tutorial, like if you really want to keep the mechanic of complementary colors adding back to white, then I think you can construct a level that's a bit more like let's say you're blue and the complement to that is orange, and you like go through somewhere and a door locks behind you, and the only way to get back through it is if you're white, and you're here on the other side of it, you're blue, there's orange. Literally the only thing you can do is collide with the orange, and you turn white, and then you can go through a gate. So
yeah.
Very often my approach to level design and tutorials is to like basically trap players until they can figure out the solution. So
yeah, that's kind of what we tried to do for some of the earlier levels. Like, it was just the very first level, right? The only option to let you escape is to pick up the red.
Yeah, and
but
then here,
yeah.
In this level, like, okay, so yeah, is there anywhere else in the game where you actually have to turn the things on, like back on, like that?
I don't think so. But we did definitely have limited time for level design
Oh,
here,
of
so we
course.
didn't get all the levels we wanted implemented, but yeah, I definitely would have added more levels in between all the ones we did.
I'm going to actually
Yeah.
try to solve this one properly now, but we've got quite a lively conversation
Alright.
going on in the chat here, so let me just see. Yes, I agree. Level design for puzzles is somehow harder than things like action games. I completely agree. Like an action game, it's if you're familiar with designing action games, I guess that's the only caveat that I will add to that, is that if you play tons of puzzle games and puzzle games are your jam and your brain thinks in puzzles, then maybe you have a really good feel for what makes a good puzzle game, and it's actually harder for you to build an action game. Maybe. I'm just speculating. Um, Dr. Tronic is saying it wouldn't be able to come up with a puzzle design under the stressful time pressure. Yeah, I can't come up with good puzzle designs for like a strictly puzzle game. I don't think I will. Like at best, I might create a mini game that has some puzzle design in it. Other than that, Witty Adrian is saying, someone who also did a puzzle game for this jam, it's all mostly about the initial idea. Once you get that down, you can start building on it and expanding, but this was the first time I actually got a really satisfying idea like that, so it's easier said than done. Absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely need a good premise for a good puzzle game. Because that's where all the level design comes from. And if there's something you can only do a limited amount of stuff with, then you can only have a limited amount of levels.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that. Oh, of course. I'm going to go on to my next question here, which is: do you have any plans for the game going forward?
I would definitely like to maybe fix the color mixing a little. I maybe try to get subtractive color to look prettier, and definitely add some sort of way to tell colors apart better. I would also like to add more levels, maybe more mechanics to be introduced later. Like one of the other streamers mentioned earlier that they'd like a way to have something that only excludes a certain color, which could be really interesting. Maybe one-way gates. That was actually in the works during the jam, but we never got it implemented. Yeah.
I think
So there's a few things I would like to do personally, but I haven't really talked with the rest of the team about continuing.
Yeah, all right. I think one thing that I will make as a recommendation to every single person ever making a puzzle game is the ability to undo your moves.
Yeah, I've gotten that.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't by any means a unique bit of feedback, but it was just something that it always bears mentioning for
Yeah.
if your game like this one, it isn't so often that you need to like I guess you might end up trying something like in this level more than any other level. I would appreciate the undo, because one false move and you've probably ended up with an extra color that you can't easily get rid of. Again, when you have this level of granularity in your color mixing, it's really hard to imagine how you would do the symbolic idea as I had suggested. But
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
if you ascribe the symbols to the primary colors, and then you can have like a little pie chart or maybe something along those lines that says like it's got to be half of triangle, 1/4 square, 1/4 circle, something like that could help if you really wanted to stick with the highly granular color mixing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier, like say the ratios between the primary colors.
Exactly. And you could just use like RGB as the suggestion, and that could still be useful to someone. Like, you could, because what you could do is
On
you could
this,
have
in this, sorry.
Oh, just really quickly, I was going to say, you could have like red in a triangle, and it's a red triangle and it has the letter R. So for someone who knows, like, okay, that's the word red, and for someone who can actually differentiate, is like, okay, that's the color red, and then they'll know that if for someone who can't tell, then they're associating it by triangle and the letter R. So if you speak English, you recognize the character R, or there are other languages that use R for like rouge in French. But using all
Yeah.
three, color, symbol, and letter, you've covered your bases pretty well.
Yeah.
All right. So, are there any other shoutouts to any other people or projects that you'd like to promote?
Well, I mean, most of the games that I have personally liked this jam are already on the front page. Like, Babel was really pretty,
Oh
although I never
yeah,
got to like an end. I don't even know if there is one,
there
but it
isn't.
was
I got to speak
really
with
cool.
the developer of that one last night.
Uh, I huge props to our composer and artist. They both did really well.
All
Yeah.
right.
That's probably about it.
Yeah.
I
So
think you have the puzzle solved pretty much.
yeah. There we go. And then no, I need to cancel this with something else. Ooh, I think I might have just botched it last second there.
Yeah, I think you messed it up.
Okay. Well,
Hard to tell on a delay.
maybe you can come up with the correct solution yourself. You can try the game. There, once again, is the link. And yeah, if you do end up doing a post jam version of it, or if you just happen to have another game jam that you'd like some, not just a game jam game, but in any other long term project that you'd like feedback on, please consider submitting it to the Discord, and we'll get a conversation going with the members there.
Okay, cool.
Great, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye bye.